The chime of the train now carries a different weight for Neti, a 46-year-old Indonesian student in Sydney. What was once a simple sound marking the start of her daily commute has become a reminder of uncertainty. Each morning, as she boards the train with her daughters, she feels a subtle tension in the air, a sense that the world has shifted in ways she cannot control. Once comforted by the city's multicultural bustle, she now feels a persistent anxiety, especially for her 3 hijab-wearing daughters. The vibrant streets that once felt like a tapestry of cultures now seem to echo with silent questions and wary glances. Neti finds herself scanning faces, searching for reassurance, but often finding only uncertainty. Every journey is a calculated risk, her faith suddenly a visible target. She wonders if the stairs are just curiosity or something more. The simple act of riding the train, once routine, now feels fraught with invisible dangers. She clutches her bag a little tighter, her heart beating faster with every stop. Neti instructs her girls to keep their voices low, to blend in, to shrink themselves in a city that feels less welcoming. She teaches them to be cautious, to avoid drawing attention, even though it pains her to do so. She wants them to feel proud, but safety now comes first. The hijab, once a proud symbol, now marks them as vulnerable. What was once a badge of identity and faith has become a source of worry, a reason for strangers to stare or whisper. Neti sees the uncertainty in her daughters' eyes as they adjust their scarves, trying to appear invisible. This is the new reality for many Indonesian Muslims in Australia, living in the shadow of an act they had nothing to do with, yet feeling its burden daily. The sense of community that once brought comfort now feels tinged with fear. Conversations with friends and neighbours are quieter, more cautious, as everyone tries to navigate this changed landscape. Neti's story is one of quiet resilience, holding on to hope in a city on edge. Despite the challenges, she refuses to let fear define her or her daughters' futures. She draws strength from her faith, her family, and the belief that understanding and acceptance can still grow, even in uncertain times. On a warm December evening, Bondi Beach was alive with a Hanukkah celebration, until gunfire shattered the peace. Sajid and Naveed Akram, a father-son duo inspired by violent extremism, killed 15 and injured many more in minutes. Sajid was killed by police. Naveed was arrested at the scene. The attack, though carried out by 2, cast a shadow over millions, especially Australia's Muslim communities. Bondi Beach, once a symbol of carefree Australia, became a crime scene and a national trauma. The attackers' claimed faith sent a chill through Muslim communities, who braced for the inevitable backlash. The actions of 2 men would have painful consequences for countless innocent people. In the aftermath, anti-Muslim sentiment surged across Australia. The Islamophobia register reported a 740% spike in hate incidents. Vandalism, abuse, and threats became daily realities. Mosques and cemeteries were desecrated, and Muslim individuals faced harassment in public and online. Social media amplified the hostility, fueling conspiracy theories and calls for violence. This wave mirrored global trends, with similar spikes in Canada and Germany. The Bondi shooting unleashed a pre-existing undercurrent of prejudice, testing the dream of a harmonious multicultural society. For many Muslims, the world outside their door suddenly felt hostile and unpredictable. The community found itself under siege for a crime it did not commit. For Muslim women, the hijab became a source of acute vulnerability after Bondi. What was once a symbol of faith and identity suddenly marked them as targets in the eyes of some, turning a simple act of getting dressed into a moment of anxiety and uncertainty. Women like Neti and her daughters found themselves on the front line of the backlash, their attire making them instant targets. Even the most routine outings, walking to school, shopping for groceries, or waiting at a bus stop, became fraught with tension and fear. Reports of harassment, from verbal abuse to physical attacks, became common. Many women described being shouted at, threatened, or even followed by strangers simply because of their visible faith. Public transport and daily errands turned into acts of bravery. Each journey outside the home was shadowed by the possibility of confrontation, making everyday life a test of resilience and courage. Many, like Hani Noor Ilahi in Perth, altered routines or considered removing their hijab for safety. Some took longer routes, avoided certain areas, or even stayed home to protect themselves and their families. The fear was not just of harm, but of being forced to choose between faith and safety. For many, the hijab is a deeply personal commitment, and the thought of removing it under pressure was heartbreaking. This climate of fear restricted women's freedom and deepened social isolation. Friendships and community ties were strained as women withdrew from public life, worried about their own safety and that of their loved ones. The targeting of hijab-wearing women is a particularly insidious form of bigotry, attacking both gender and faith. It sends a message that their presence is unwelcome, and that their beliefs make them outsiders in their own country. It is a direct assault on their right to exist visibly and peacefully in Australian society. Yet, despite the fear and hostility, many women continue to wear the hijab with pride, standing as symbols of resilience and hope for a more inclusive future. Amid the tragedy, a story of heroism emerged. In the darkest moments, when fear and chaos threatened to overwhelm, a single act of bravery shone through, offering hope to a grieving community. Ahmed El Ahmed, a Syrian-born Muslim immigrant, tackled one of the gunmen, risking his life to save others. Without hesitation, he put himself in harm's way, driven by a sense of duty and compassion for those around him. His selfless actions helped prevent further loss and inspired those who witnessed his courage. His bravery was widely praised, even by the Prime Minister, as a symbol of unity and courage. Leaders and citizens alike recognized Ahmed's actions as a powerful reminder of the good that can emerge in the face of evil. Communities across the country celebrated his heroism, seeing in him the values that unite us all. Yet his story struggled to gain traction online, overshadowed by fear-driven narratives. Social media was flooded with anxiety and suspicion, making it difficult for stories of hope and bravery to break through the noise. The digital world, so often a place for connection, became a battleground of conflicting emotions and perspectives. The actions of two extremists were seen as representative of all Muslims, while Ahmed's heroism was treated as an exception. This unfair portrayal fueled prejudice and deepened divisions, ignoring the countless acts of kindness and solidarity shown by the wider Muslim community. The narrative of fear threatened to drown out the truth of Ahmed's sacrifice. His story is a vital truth. Courage and compassion cross all boundaries. In moments of crisis, it is our shared humanity that matters most. People from every background came together, supporting one another and refusing to let hatred define their community. Ahmed was not just a Muslim hero, he was an Australian hero. His actions spoke to the spirit of a nation built on diversity, resilience, and mutual respect. The community's embrace of Ahmed and his family showed that true belonging is earned through acts of courage and love. His actions remind us that the real divide is between those who protect and those who destroy. In the end, it is the choices we make, to stand up for others, to reach across divides, and to act with empathy, that define who we are as a society. As the nation mourned, a digital assault unfolded. Social media, especially X, became a crucible of hate, linking the attack to Islam as a whole. Disinformation and inflammatory rhetoric spread rapidly, flattening complex realities into Muslim equals terrorist. This narrative drowned out stories of unity and heroism, fueling real-world prejudice. Police actions like the high-profile arrest and release of the Liverpool Seven further eroded trust. The digital mob demanded collective responsibility, making every Muslim answer for extremists' crimes. This cycle of vilification deepened divisions and made building a cohesive society harder. Moderate voices were lost in the noise, while suspicion and exclusion grew. In response, government and community leaders called for unity. The Prime Minister condemned the attack and urged Australians not to blame all Muslims. Ahmed El Ahmed's heroism was highlighted as the true spirit of Australia. Aftab Malik, the special envoy on Islamophobia, warned against collective blame and championed solidarity between Muslim and Jewish communities. Despite these messages, many Muslims felt the official calls for unity were distant from their daily reality. Online hate and performative police actions often drowned out positive leadership. Healing would require more than speeches. It would need grassroots trust and understanding. Amid fear, acts of solidarity offered hope. Interfaith vigils brought together leaders from all backgrounds, standing united against hate. Local communities reached out to Muslim neighbours, offering support and reassurance. Initiatives like Walk With Me helped Muslim women feel safer in public. Jewish leaders condemned the Islamophobic backlash, recognising shared vulnerability. These gestures rejected the us versus them narrative, showing that security for one community is linked to all. Acts of unity, though quieter than hate, are the foundation of a resilient society. Solidarity is an active choice, to see the individual, to answer hate with empathy. In these moments, the fractures caused by terror begin to heal. As the new year begins, the echoes of Bondi remain. The lesson is clear: we must separate the acts of individuals from the faith of millions. Holding all Muslims responsible only hands victory to terrorists seeking division. The fear felt by people like Neti and Hani reveals the deep impact of prejudice. Australia's strength is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable in crisis. The heroism of Ahmed El Ahmed and interfaith solidarity provide a blueprint for the future. Building a shared identity is the best defense against extremism. Healing requires connection, empathy, and responsible leadership. A stronger community is built not on fear, but on solidarity and our shared humanity.